This is All India Radio. In Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on political developments in poll-bound states. The participants are Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and Neelab Srivastav, journalist.
The election activity in 4 states and 1 union territory is now gathering pace day by day. However, the actual day of polling and other decisions have not been made by the Election Commission of India. It is expected that the schedule for the polls in the states of Assam, West Bengal, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and the union territory of Puducherry are going to be announced very soon by the Election Commission, because the assemblies of these states end their terms sometime between May and June, and it is very well expected that the elections may be held in April this year. Mr. Tandon, the poll pitch is now catching up. We can see a lot of activity by way of campaign rallies and different political parties taking out, seeking the outreach with the voters. And the first particular context which has happened today is the fall of the Congress government in Puducherry, which was led by Chief Minister Mr. V. Narayanasamy. How do you see this development?
You are right in pointing out that the election fever is catching up very fast in these poll-bound states. But I must say that it started too soon, maybe because of the high stakes in states like particularly West Bengal, Assam, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. You very rightly said that the Election Commission is yet to announce the schedule for that. But if you look around, particularly in West Bengal, it's already a very, very high-pitched campaigning going on. Having said that, development in Puducherry today was expected for the last 1 week or so, when Congress MLA started deserting the party. And now finally today, when the speaker announced that V. Kumarasamy government is in a minority and they have lost confidence, and Mr. Narayanasamy immediately resigned. But the BJP and its allies, they have also announced that they will not be staking claim to form the government, and they would rather like to come back to power after winning the election. Therefore, the political stalemate which was going on for the last 1 week or so has ended today, and now all eyes will be on the election. But the fact remains that the Puducherry politics is very peculiar, because it's a union territory and a very, very small area, and the house has a very limited strength, and it's very easy for the politicians, particularly the MLAs, to cross floor. And if you look at it, an average Puducherry MLA represents just 20,000 to 25,000 voters, which is only as big as an average city corporation ward in India. And there was a lot of corruption also. The corruption has been a major factor, and I would not hesitate to say that the role the former Lieutenant Governor Kiran Bedi played in Puducherry politics, and that was, one of the factors, and that's why she was removed by the center. And therefore, it's interesting, although it's very close to Tamil Nadu, but Puducherry had its own position in India. And there were allegations against Kiran Bedi that she was interfering too much, and she had a role in precipitating this crisis. But the fact remains that Mr. Narayanasamy was increasingly becoming unpopular. His own MLAs were revolting against him. And, when Congress leader Rahul Gandhi was supposed to be visiting Puducherry, but the local Congress leaders were not very happy the way the High Command of Congress was treating and taking it very lightly. That's why they said it's too late for Rahul Gandhi to do any damage control now in Puducherry. So overall, if you look at it, the crisis that was precipitated by the floor crossing of some of the MLAs, and now I think apparently Narayanasamy will continue as caretaker chief minister till the election, and maybe now the new alignments will take place on the eve of the election, and BJP is hoping that it may be getting more and more support from people, and they hope to form a government with the alliance partner AIADMK.
Right. For the benefit of our listeners, if I can explain what exactly happened. So, Mr. Narayanasamy, when he tendered his resignation before the Lieutenant Governor of the Union Territory, he also said, because this happened before even the confidence vote could be put in the Assembly, and Mr. Narayanasamy made an accusation where he said that the Speaker of the House, Mr. Siva Kolundu, he did not put the vote to the motion, and that is why this is incorrect and valid. While this can be debated, the legal position is still awaited on this. Mr. Tandon, the Congress party now remains in power independently in only 3 states, which is the the state of Punjab, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, with government going down today in Puducherry. Obviously, this is a poll-bound union territory. What could be the dynamics both for the Congress party and other political parties, including the BJP, which is the main player in these polls? How do you see the entire polling scenario, or will it have an effect on the forthcoming polls in the 4 states and this union territory?
Even though Puducherry is a very small union territory, but Mr. Narayanaswamy was a very senior veteran Congress leader. And since he was holding the fort in Puducherry, so it was some kind of a satisfaction for the Congress that it was in power, at least in Puducherry, deep south. But now that fort has also gone, it's becoming increasingly difficult for Congress to get more and more alliance partners, even in Tamil Nadu, although they have announced that they will be part of the DMK-led alliance, but how many seats DMK will be leaving for Congress is yet to be seen. So therefore, the dwindling support of the Congress party in state after state basically is raising question mark about the quality of the leadership, because the central leadership in Delhi is not really worried about what is happening at the ground level in many states, and they are really lack of leaders also who could take care of the state's politics. But having said that, overall picture is that in all the poll-bound states, only in Kerala, the UDF is led by Congress and there are other partners in. But at the same time, Congress party, when it is fighting against the left front in Kerala, is now joining hands with the left front in West Bengal. So this contradiction apparently will have an adverse impact on the minds of the voters and also some of the alliance partners. And in Tamil Nadu, of course, they would be fighting the election as junior partner of the DMK. But in Assam also, again, it is for the Congress to challenge the BJP, because Congress has been in power in Assam for a very long time. So therefore, it's a challenge for the Congress party to prove its mettle and try to revive its fortunes.
Moving east towards West Bengal, a development that took place today. Prime Minister held a rally in Hooghly district, a place called Chuchura, and the Prime Minister hit out at the TMC government led by Ms. Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal, and he said that syndicate Raj in all spheres of life in West Bengal has taken over, and if I can quote him, he says that no work gets done without common people having to pay a cut money. He also accused the TMC government of pursuing an appeasement politics. The daggers are drawn in West Bengal, Mr. Tandon. We have seen hectic campaigning in this state, different political leaders of the BJP and other parties also now traveling, and a big stake in this state. How do you see this scenario in West Bengal as such?
In West Bengal, the BJP has already started a kind of a carpet bombing with all its leaders, particularly Amit Shah and JP Nadda. And the kind of intense campaigning they have already started, they are really challenging Mamata Banerjee's support. But one very interesting aspect of the entire West Bengal politics is that the left front and the Congress combined, they are nowhere in the campaign right now. It appears that it's going to be a direct fight between Trinamool Congress and the BJP, which is very interesting. Otherwise, the Congress leadership and the left leadership also have been, stepping up their campaign, which apparently is not visible. So therefore, if it becomes a direct fight between Mamata Banerjee and the BJP, the left front vote share is likely to decline drastically, and the Congress vote share has already been grabbed by Mamata Banerjee, and now a large chunk is going towards the BJP. So therefore, it will be very unfortunate for the politics of West Bengal that where the left front ruled for so many decades is literally wiped out now. And that will be the very interesting aspect to watch when the elections are held and results are out, that what is the fate of the left front and also the Congress party which will be joining the left front. But at the moment it seems that BJP has taken the West Bengal election very seriously, and the number of defections which are taking place from Trinamool Congress also speaks volume of the authoritarian style of functioning of Mamata Banerjee. That may be one reason why the legislators of the TMC, the MPs of TMC are fed up with her, and that may be a setback for her because she is a lone campaigner, and it's all in the name of Mamata Banerjee that TMC is fighting this election. So how long she can hold the fort alone? So let's wait for that. But I think the campaigning has already reached a very favorable pitch as far as West Bengal is concerned.
You talked about the kind of no second leadership in TMC, but the BJP has time and again accused Ms. Mamata Banerjee's nephew, in Bengali as it is called Bhaipo, Mr. Abhishek Banerjee, who is an MP from Diamond Harbour, that he is the kind of de facto leader and this is family now that is running the party, whereas Mr. Abhishek Banerjee has accused the central government agencies of harassing them at the time when the elections are going to, and now the context is that the CBI very recently reached his residence and his family members were thought to be questioned in a poll pilferage scam case. So how do you see the entire thing rolling out just before the election?
See, it was Mamata Banerjee who used to accuse some of the political parties, including Congress, of encouraging dynasty politics. And now she herself is grooming her own nephew. So that is also one of the reasons why a senior leadership in the TMC is also deserting her, and they are accusing her of promoting only nephew. So I think if TMC becomes a family party, then obviously it will be difficult for her to convince the people of West Bengal, who are very enlightened electorate in West Bengal. They are intellectual and they understand what is happening in West Bengal. So they have been looking for an alternative to TMC for the last 5 years or so, and this is exactly what BJP is trying to provide. So if BJP emerges as a very formidable alternative to TMC, you never know. The swing in favor of BJP may be more than what other political pundits are expecting right now sitting in Delhi.
The state of Assam, the Bharatiya Janata Party is in power there. The Prime Minister and other leaders have gone there. Other parties have also campaigned. The electoral issues now that are being picked up, even in the past, have been the illegal infiltration to the Bangladesh border, the issue of migrants, and also the issue of NRC. So how do you see, Mr. Tandon, what exactly would be the pitch of the political parties, both BJP and other parties?
In Assam, the BJP has started campaigning in a very high pitch. Home Minister Amit Shah, BJP President JP Nadda, they have been campaigning very intensively. But the Prime Minister's schedule for the next couple of days again is focusing on Assam as well. And therefore, the kind of campaigning they are doing, there seems to be hardly any match. There is hardly any opposition to BJP in Assam right now. Whereas Congress is the only alternative. Congress has been in power in Assam for a long time. But the local leadership is so disenchanted with the central leadership, because central leadership has never paid attention to what the state leaders have been asking for. And that was one of the reasons why so many Congress leaders in Assam have already left Congress. So there is a crisis of leadership in the Congress as far as Assam is concerned. So that may be one of the reasons why the things may be again going in favor of the BJP in Assam. And there is no third front at all. And all other fronts have literally vanished. Even the regional parties of Assam are also not seen anywhere in the campaign. There is hardly any leadership in Assam as far as the regional parties are concerned.
Mr. Tandon, I'll now take you to down south, God's own country, Kerala. You briefly talked about it. But Kerala traditionally has seen an alternate government between UDF and LDF. One very recent thing that has now brought a lot of focus on the state politics is the veteran, the technocrat, Mr. E. Sridharan, Metro Man. He has expressed his desire to get into the Bharatiya Janata Party, and also that he will love to look forward to be a CM candidate. So how do you see the dynamics now changing?
Kerala, as you very rightly pointed out, has been, between LDF and UDF. And BJP, which has been trying very hard to get a foothold in Kerala over the last few decades, has not been able to get much, support. Even in the last election, they had only one MLA who got elected. But this time they are making a very strong pitch, and that's why 89-year-old Sridharan is now joining politics, and he will be trying his luck. But I think the road is quite difficult for BJP because of the complete polarization between the two established fronts. But it has been making a lot of efforts even in the last few elections, and this time again, because the RSS have very strong hold in Kerala, but the BJP has not been able to translate into votes, and that's why they have been trying to experiment in Kerala with a number of people, and this time they have put stakes on Mr. Sridharan, and he is a well-known, well-renowned engineer who established a metro all over India. But I don't think that alone will be able to cut much ice, and therefore to emerge as a third force in Kerala, BJP will have to work really very hard.
The overall picture in all these 4 states and 1 union territory, your closing remarks, Mr. Tandon.
See, one very interesting aspect of the whole election scene in India is that the BJP, even if it is not very strong in any state, the amount of effort they do at the highest level to get a foothold wherever they are not there and to retain power where they are in power, that is a hallmark of their political style, which no other political party has been able to match. In fact, is a lesson for other political parties to learn, particularly Congress party.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Mr. Tandon.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on political developments in poll-bound states. The participants were Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and Neelab Srivastav, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our website, newsonair.com. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.